Good evening. Tonight we will start a new series. It's prayer or fasting series. And a title for tonight's message is Fasting and Prayer from God's Perspective. Now we know that fasting without prayer is not effective. But previously I have spoken some messages on prayer, and so tonight I will emphasize mainly on fasting. In case you need to know about prayer, please refer to my previous messages. I hope that when you watch those messages, those videos, it will give you some pointers and help you to understand more about prayer. My first point tonight is fasting is for everybody. I will tell you the reason why. Look at Matthew chapter 6 verses 17 and 18. It says, when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face. You see, Jesus told them, when you fast, don't act in such a way that so pitifully that people know that you are fasting. Their hair not combed, their face not washed, they don't put on proper attire, and crumpled clothing, etc., etc. And then so that it attracts attention. And then people ask, why are you doing this? Hey, why come you look like that? Something happened to you. Then you say, no, I'm fasting. No, Jesus said, please don't do this when you are fasting. No, don't attract attention. He says, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting. So fast in secrets. And please don't announce to everybody, I'm fasting. Don't invite me for lunch. Don't invite me for this and that. No, please don't. You still can attend all this function, but you can do it in a wise way, right? So don't let people know that, don't publish a program, I'm fasting now, Now if it is a whole church program, that's another story, okay? But privately, please don't go and tell people I'm this or that. No need to tell people. He said that, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Now if you do it in public, then your reward are fulfilled. In short, God is saying, no more reward. But only when you do it privately, God says He will reward. So everybody can fast. And Jesus encourages all to fast. In fact, it is a good exercise that we all should undertake. Secondly, let me share with you about the different types of fasting. Primarily, there are 5 types. Like, first of all, total fast. Now, what is total fast? Total fast is like the fast that Jesus undertook. Jesus fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Total. No food. And total fast is not for everybody, especially for extended period of time like 40 days. So if you want to go on a total fast, maybe I suggest that you first take one step at a time. Maybe start with 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, a week, and you progress slowly. And then you see how your body get used to this condition. And then as you keep on fasting, the length of time increase. Then you will get used to it, and then you understand your body. Right? So total fast, one way. Secondly, partial fast. Now partial fast could be, some people will skip a meal, some people will do alternate days. That could be a form of partial fast. And some of time they may not eat meat, but they do all other things as per normal. So they may call it a partial fast. So actually the definition is pretty loose. Like, there is no really fixed formula about a partial fast. Then you have intermittent fast. Now intermittent fasts are actually very similar to partial fast. Intermittent fast, people fast maybe 14 hours, 16 hours a day. They only eat perhaps a breakfast, and then they will skip lunch and dinner. And then next meal they will be full breakfast, and then they will skip lunch and dinner again. So they will do all this intermittent fast. Even the health guru will suggest that you do intermittent fast, right? And they have many methods, many ways of doing this intermittent fast. So you can choose to do intermittent fast. Because fasting primarily is to curtail the flesh. It is to put the body under subjection. Then you break away from the norm. Right? That's the purpose about fasting. And then you have the Daniel's type of fast, or Daniel's fast. Now, it's made popular by Daniel because when Daniel and his friends, the young men, were exiled into Babylon, the king, Nebuchadnezzar, wanted to really bless them, wanted to offer them the best food from his kitchen. But when this food was served to Daniel, Daniel declined. Daniel wisely declined, and he told the official who was in charge of serving him the food to beg the king to ask him for permission to allow them to only eat vegetables. So it became popular because of Daniel's way of food consumption while he was in exile. So perhaps Daniel's fast may, venerate Daniel. More so, I believe it is the exile fast, right? I think the exiles, when they were exiled, they fast this way. They still have to work, so they need energy, but they abstain from perhaps strong drink and meat, so they only eat vegetable. So you can eat vegetable, and it's a good way to fast. It's the easiest actually. Life is as per normal. You can eat your 3 meals, and then you just cannot consume meat. Just go on vegetable. Now, it's different from a vegan. If you are a vegetarian or someone, they don't eat meat all their life, it's fine, but that is another story, right? That you are not just fasting, you are just maybe health conscious. But there's a way of fasting that you avoid meat, only consume vegetable. It's called Daniel's fast. And many people can do Daniel's fast actually. Then, fifthly, there is an alternate fast. What is alternate fast? Well, alternate fast is a fast that I coined this word. You can't find it anywhere else. Right? Alternate fast is maybe doctor has advised you not to fast because of your body condition, your health does not permit you to fast. So what do? Well, you eat normally. You have to eat your 3 meals. Eat your 3 meals. Eat normally. Eat your meat. Eat your protein. Eat your carbo. Drink your beverages. Consume normally. But you fast on what? Well, fast on the cakes and the chocolates and the sweets and the computer and the TV and whatever that distracts you, right? You can do that. Now, primarily that is to put your flesh under control. See, sometimes we may put our flesh under control by using food, but we are distracted by many other things. People can be fasting on food, but instead of praying, they are on the computer all the time, right? So the fasting has effect or not? I don't know. I really do not know. I doubt so. So, while you may not be able to fast on the normal consumption of food, but you can fast alternatively. The things that you like, the treats that you give to yourself. As I mentioned, chocolate, cakes, all the nice things you eat in between meals. Fast on that, and the time you are distracted by some of the other modern gadgets, fast on it. It's also a form of fasting, so that you can spend those time and set aside those time so that you can pray, you can seek God, and you put your flesh under control. Thirdly, let's see the effects of fasting. Well, fasting has effect, and my passage is taken primarily from Isaiah chapter 58 verses 6 to 12. Isaiah 58 verses 6 to 12. Now Isaiah 58 verse 6, let's look at verse 6 first. He said that, "Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke." Now, so the first effect, the first benefits of fasting is it brings breakthrough. Now last week we talked about breaking forth, breaking out, and in fact fasting is one of the good method. In fact, that is the natural outcome. They will give you breakthroughs. It loose the bands of wickedness. You see, there are wickedness that surrounds us, there are wickedness that attack us. We may not even realize, we may not even know, or you may not even feel it, but wickedness is lurking around. Bands are things that will hold you back, tie, the bands are things that bound me. They will hold us back. It restricts our movement. It restricts our freedom to do the things that we want to do in order to fulfill the destiny that God has set for us. So we are all held back and nothing seems to work for you. Of late, have you been experiencing this? Now you see the last 11 months or so, the pandemic, in a way, we need breakthrough. It has been holding us back. There are many things we used to do previously we could not do now. So we need that breakthrough. You plant, but the seeds do not grow. Not that every seed you plant, the seed will grow. I've been doing some planting lately, and I realized that not all the seeds that I plant will grow. And sometimes when you grow halfway, it will still die off. Even some that plant, I had tomato plant at this length, and it is also, don't seem like it is thriving. So you plant. The Lord says, you learn to fast, you plant, your seeds will grow. But if you are experiencing, famine, spiritual famine, then learn to fast. Secondly, the second benefit from God's perspective about prayer, fasting, it will allow you to tear off heavy burden. It says to undo the heavy burden. Now the word there, original meaning, not the original meaning, the original word in Hebrew, to tear, to undo, is what? It's a violent tearing. It gives you this idea that it is violent. It is not gently like unwrapping a gift. Now you see when people give gifts, they wrap it with wrappings, and then when in front of them, when we open the gift, I think we tear it gently and as gracefully as possible, like scotch tape by scotch tape, untie the ribbon, scotch tape by scotch tape. But the word here, tear off, gives you this idea of a forceful tearing apart. That when we fast, the benefit is that whatever burden that you have, it is in a split second and in a violent way, it will be released. You will be set free. That's what it means. That's the result of fasting. Thirdly, the third benefit is set free from oppression. To let the oppressed go free. Well, people are oppressed. Last week we mentioned about oppressed by Philistine. We are oppressed by the virus. And fasting can help us to be set free from oppression. Well, I don't know whether are you discouraged, are you bruised, are you wounded? If you belong to one of these three categories, then fasting is good for you. You are a good candidate to practice fasting. And please pray when you fast. See, who is not discouraged? Recently, whatever we went through, actually, some are really bruised. Some they not even tell people they are bruised. Outwardly, they put on a strong front, but inwardly, they are crying. Inwardly, they are bleeding. They are wounded. There are many ways that we are bruised, we are wounded, we are discouraged. But fasting can help us to have a breakthrough. The benefits of fasting is sets us free from bondage. Bondage gives us this idea of a yoke. He says that every yoke will be broken. Now a yoke is a piece of wood implement that you place on the ox. If it's a single ox, you place the wood on the ox and you tie it down on the neck, around the neck, and then you control the ox. If it's a pair of ox, you string two together and you tie them down together. Then you call it a yoke. But a yoke primarily is to restrict, so that it will lose control. Whoever controls the yoke controls the beast. And the Bible here says that when we fast, it will unshackle our yokes. It will break our yoke. What are yokes? Bondages. What are bondages? Bad habits. Things that are not healthy, that is an invisible chain, an invisible yoke placed around our neck. You see, people with bad habits, unhealthy habits, or unhealthy relationships, etc., it's very hard to break away. People have tried using their willpower, using their mental strength to break from maybe drugs, addiction, gambling. But you know that it's hard. By your own willpower, it's just so hard to break away. Just look at the gamblers, for those who are plagued with this gambling addiction. Now we pity them. I'm not cursing them, neither am I despising them. But look at, they can try very hard. They will tell themselves, no, this is the last time, this is the last time, I will not go again. But tomorrow they will go again. They will go again and again and again. Some promise to chop off their fingers, but they never chop off their finger. I never seen someone who have his finger chopped yet because of gambling. I have not. But they only say that they will swear they will chop their fingers. But then they will return back to gambling. Good thing they never chop their finger, otherwise they will have no more fingers. You know something? According to statistics, Christian run drug halfway houses to treat drug addicts are the most successful. Why? Because they have a God factor. Because our God can help us to break bondages. So if you have bad habits that become or becomes, depending on how many habits you have, then learn to fast, because it will set those in bondage free. Number 5, to help the needy. Now verse 7 says this, is it not to share your food, say when you fast, is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood. Now, when we fast, we actually save money, right? Because you are not eating the normal way. So you are not buying as much food. You don't spend as much on your food expenses. Then the question is, then when you are not buying all the normal food, what do you think you are supposed to do with the extra cash? Save it on the piggy bank, save it in your bank account so that you can buy something that, your hobby, your liking, or just save it up. Is it? Not that that is wrong, but God has a better purpose for you. God says, when you fast with all this saving, it is to feed the hungry and clothe the naked. This is what Isaiah says. He said, when you fast, is it not to feed the hungry and clothe the naked? So you are to give what you save to the poor. Don't save it for yourself. Give it to an agency. Sometimes people may give to the church. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot give to the church. For this money, let me tell you this. Unless you can be sure that every cent you give to the church for this money you save on fasting, the church is helping the poor. If not, please don't give to the church. You can give to the church through other ways. There are many other ways you can give to the church. For this, please give to an agency that will purposefully do to help the poor, help the naked, help the wanderers. Because they are specialized in this. Right? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you don't give to the church. There are many ways to give to the church. But for this money, unless the church can assure you, every dollar they receive from you, every dollar goes out to help the poor. If not, you think about it. Well, there are 3 ways of giving. There are 3 types of giving. 1, giving to God. Right? We all give to God. And this is right. Giving to God is inevitable. The Bible has many teaching regarding this. God has also promised that if we bless Him, He will bless us, right? Now, I'm not saying that this is a trade, it's a bargain, and this is like a business. You give God 10%, God give you 100%. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that normally, giving to God is inevitable. It's good. And I encourage you to do that. Second type of giving is giving to those who bless you. Well, you have received blessing from others, right? People who have done good to you, people who have encouraged you, people who have blessed you in one way or another, you bless them back. It's good and proper. It's normal. Like, so second type of giving is give to those who bless you is right. You give to God is inevitable. You give to those who bless you is right. But the third group is better. The third group is giving to those who cannot reciprocate is magnanimous. Now, in this place, Isaiah is advocating, God is saying, you save your money on fasting and give to help the poor, the naked, the wanderer. You are doing something that pleases God. Because these people have no means to reciprocate. They may not even know who gave. That's why just now I said you choose an agency. Right? A welfare agency whatsoever. You give. And anyway, those money goes to them, they are the specialists. Who receive it, you don't know. The people who receive the money also would not know who gave. And so there's no way, perhaps, there's no way, really no way to reciprocate. You cannot hope that, well, I give this, then I can get something back. No. And this is the true motives. You are not hoping to get anything back. It's magnanimous. That's why giving to God is inevitable. Giving to those who bless you is right. But giving to those who cannot reciprocate is magnanimous. So learn to give. Verse 8 says, then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Now, sixthly, sixth blessing from God's perspective about prayer and fasting is receive revelation from God. It says here, then shall thy light break forth as in the morning. Give us a picture of morning is dawning. It's going to be, now it's dusk. The sun has not rise from the horizon, and everything is dark. You cannot see the surrounding. You cannot see the trees. You cannot see beyond the horizon. But the sun is rising. But when the sun appears, before it perhaps breaks forth from the horizon, then you see light, and suddenly you see things you don't see before. Now you see. Now that is what it means here. Revelation. Last time you will not see because it's dark. Now you see. How? Fasting. 7. Speedy recovery from sickness. It says, your healing shall quickly appear. How about that? Well, those who fast, Isaiah says, your healing shall quickly appear. I think that it'll give you motivation. If you are in need of a divine healing from God, then learn to put aside your love for particular food. Learn to fast. And God says, your healing shall quickly appear. Enjoy protection. Number 8. He says, righteousness shall go before thee, the glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Now, in fact, it says that God will protect our rear guard. In verse, it says that, your back God will protect. Now, the protection from God is just so wonderful. Now, you see, if it is a frontal attack, it's easy, right? We can ward off, we can run away, we can, defend. But here the Bible says God will be our rear guard. He will protect our back. You see, there are people who stab people from the back. These are very malicious and wicked people. God said He will be our protection. He will protect us. He will protect us. How about that? Fasting. Verse 9 says, then you shall call and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help and He will say, here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing fingers and malicious talk. Now, the 9 blessings, the 9 benefits, the 9th benefits of fasting is prayers will be answered. Now, obviously, previously I mentioned about prayer, but here is another good point. It says that when we fast, your prayers will be answered. God says, then you will call. The Lord said, the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and the Lord said, here am I. When He said, the Lord said, here am I, means what? Means the Lord is there waiting for us to discover. Not us chasing and chasing, not knowing whether we can catch hold of God. No, it's the reverse of Samuel. You remember when young Samuel, he was sleeping and then God called him and he did not know it was God calling him. Then he ran to Eli. And then when he related to Eli how he heard these voices, then Eli told him, the next time you hear the voice, you tell the Lord, Lord, speak while your servant heareth. Here am I. Why? Eli is teaching young Samuel. Tell God, God, you speak, here I am. But in this passage, it's the reverse. God said, you pray. And God said, here I am. Here am I. How? Fasting. Oh, fasting has this wonderful effect regarding for your prayer. That's why prayer and fasting must go hand in hand. Never just fast without praying. Point number 10. You will become very successful when you learn to fast. You see, then your light will rise in darkness and your night will become like noonday. Your light will rise in the darkness. See, in darkness and suddenly there is light. What happened? The light, the whole room will be full. You cannot be more successful than lighting a candle in a dark room, because every cubic inch or cubic centimeter of airspace is lit. You just need to light one candle in a room and the whole place will be lit. You cannot be more successful than that. It says that your light will rise in the darkness. Your night will become like noonday. You know, how can night become like noonday? When night is like noonday, I only can think of two places, the North Pole and the South Pole, where during those months when they have very, very, very long day and very, very, very short night. So their night will be like noonday. So if you like to, have fun, wow, I think North Pole and South Pole during those periods will be fantastic. You know why? There's no night. Although the clock tells you it's at night, but the sun is still there. You look out the window, the sun is there. My friend told me, he said, they were so confused because they were eating dinner and then the sun was shining very brightly. So they were confused. Their dinner is like breakfast. Because night has become noonday. Well, how successful can one be? Well, the Lord says fasting can give you this blessing. Number 11, enjoy guidance. Well, we'll deal with detail the next time, perhaps, about revelation and guidance, in this fasting series. How fasting can guide us. In what way? See, the Lord will guide you always. Now, I believe the Lord will guide us. However, with fasting, I think there is an added assurance. It's one more layer of assurance. See, the Lord will guide you and me when we fast. I'm sure we all love to have God guide us, right? Who does not want? Number 12, the abundant and reward. Abundant divine supply. He said that He will satisfy your need in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Now, how to have perennial water supply? How to have well-watered garden? Now, the farmer will tell you, they are all very susceptible to nature, to weather. When it's raining season, okay. When it's the dry season, they have no water. So farmers are susceptible. They always pray for rain. But the Lord says, those who fast will have abundant divine supply. And this supply is divine. It is specially arranged. The water source is not natural water source. It is a man-made irrigation source. It's like in Psalms. In Psalms 1, it says that blessed is the man, right, who plant. The water mentioned in Psalm 1, the irrigation channel are artificial man-made irrigational channel. They are not natural channel. Because natural channel, water will dry based on the season. But because it is man-made, well, it will flow, water will flow 24 hours a day. 12 months a year, 365 days a year it flows. I remember I visited Israel a few years ago. Then they brought us to this place. My wife and myself, we were there at the place where David hid himself, and there was a spring, and the water still flows today. And then the tour guide said, wow, you see, this is the place where David hid himself, and you look at the spring is still flowing. Then I told him, I say, may I know, is this the original spring? He said, oh yes. I say, no, it's not the original spring. This one is, the water is piped in by the Israeli government and the Israeli Tourist Promotion Board, and then it pumped up to the slight slope, and then the water flow out from there. I say, the spring was 3,000 years ago. Long ago, the spring was no more water. Geography was taken into effect, you know. I say, now the water is being supplied artificially, but praise God, but you know why? Because it is supplied artificially. Therefore, all the tourists, whether you come in January, you come in June, you come in December, you will still find water in the spring. Why? It is a man-made, whose water never fails. Now, this is what God means. It's divine. It's supernatural. It does not depend on nature. It's supernatural. Well, when God bless you, when you fast, God says He will supernaturally supply you. That is what it means. When it's beyond nature. It's God. God make it to happen. I think that's very important. Point number 13 and the last point. Restoration. Verse 12 of Isaiah 58 says, your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundation. You will be called repairers of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwelling. Now see, they were living in a time where they were in exile, their wall, Jerusalem wall, the city of Jerusalem was destroyed, and then Isaiah said this. He said, your ancient ruins will be what? Rebuilt. You will raise up the age-old foundation. You see, whatever that ruins us for the last 11 months, can we rebuild it? You can. How? Fasting. You will be called repairers of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwelling. Well, God is waiting for you and I to become the restorer of broken society, broken relationship, broken anything. We will be the restorer, we will be the repairers. How? Learn to fast. Well, God is going to use you to turn wastelands into fruitful orchard. You believe it? Fasting can restore a lot of things that are broken down, broken relationship, business ventures, whatever. God can. So God bless us. And remember, everyone can fast. If it's not the regular fasting, then do the alternate fasting. Right? Then save the money that you fast, and please use it to help the poor and needy. Make sure those money reach the poor and needy. God bless us all.